Hello again, and welcome to Creating Wealth with Purpose platform. We are so excited to have you join us. On this platform, we focus on managing your personal wealth, on creating wealth, and being a blessing to your community. And in the past weeks, we've been speaking on types of income that we can look at and to also improve our income sources. And we've spoken about a few. Today, I'm excited to speak to a lovely couple who are going to share with us a very interesting one people have been looking forward to. So before we continue, if you haven't clicked the subscribe button, if you haven't liked or shared, please go ahead and stay tuned for a very good episode. Today, we are speaking to the founders of NEST Services, Mr. and Mrs. Awotwe, and they are into real estate. We want to find out all about real estate, the real estate business, how to go into it, and all the questions you've had in your mind. We are going to be discussing it today. So, Mr. and Mrs. Awotwe, welcome again.
Thank you.
Great. So, I will start with Madam first. Why your interest in real estate?
That's a good question. I actually asked myself that question before, and I realized the only answer I could give to that is the fact that I want some security for my money, some security for what I've struggled to get. Real estate has become a safe place virtually as an investment. You put in your money and you know that over time your money will not depreciate but will only appreciate in value. So that was the thriving force to go into real estate, to appreciate our current revenue without actually working so much for that increment and not losing it no matter what happens in the economy.
Okay.
That
awesome.
is one of the major reason. Yeah.
Awesome. Mr. Awotwe, why real estate? There are so many businesses.
Yeah, real estate, because like I said, it's the only real thing. You can hold it, you can see it, you can, unlike the paper class of assets. So it should be part of your investment portfolio. If you're an investor, there are the paper assets and then the solid ones. We prefer the solid ones because of the various opportunities it gives us in terms of appreciation in value, rental income. I mean, you can sell it, you can give it as an inheritance to your family when you are no longer there. And also, they were all things that we looked at before we moved into real estate.
Okay. And any personal reason also, even as you thought you balanced all the things, spoken like a man, very logical. What is the angle? Do you have any passion to or any personal reasons that also led you there?
Yes, for me personally, the reason why I looked at the hostel section in real estate was what happened to me in my second year in the university. First year in the university, we had the in-out-out policy. First year, you are accommodated by the university. Second year, you are not accommodated. Third year, you are not accommodated. Final year, you are not accommodated. When I got to second year, I had funds to pay only part of my tuition. I didn't have a place to sleep in my second year in the university. And so when eventually I got someone to pitch, I told myself that when I start working and I start making enough, I would move into hostels so that I can provide decent accommodation for students who don't even have the financial wherewithal, but have a little substance to support them. So that was the driving force in moving into the hostels industry.
Okay, awesome. So can any of you just speak to how does one start? I am interested in real estate. Is this the real one? I have a passion. How do I start?
I believe you must have the passion to start, to venture into real estate in the first place. Without that passion, you could start and lose interest, especially when you end up having some challenges. Okay. So the initial one is the passion to start that particular investment in the first place. Then after having that, and after that passion, then you are sure, you are sure of the fact that when you start the journey, you're going to continue. Then secondly, I'll say that the capital must be there. The initial capital must be there. So when I'm saying the capital, I'm talking about your availability of a land. Your land must be there. So you have to consider which area you would want to have your property. Do you want to have it in a newly developed area or a developing area? So you have to acquire the land. Then that's the first step. Like after having a passion, you have the land. Without the land, you obviously cannot go into real estate. So you got the land. Then now you get the experts to help you advise on the kind of structure to put up and all that. And all that would is your passion that will determine which of the real estate markets you want to go into. Like my husband mentioned, he wanted to go into the hostel. So becoming a wife, I was motivated by that passion as well.
Okay.
So we decided to go into hostel business. But assuming you want to go into rentals for homes and all, then you can do that. So that's when the experts will advise you on the kind of structure to put up and all that. I think I'll let my husband continue from here.
Okay.
Yes, like she's saying, the first thing you should look at is the type of real estate you want to go into. Do you want to go to hotels? Do you want to go to land sales, purchase of land? Do you want to go into hostels like we did? Do you want to go into rentals? Do you want to go into leasing? So the type of real estate business you want to do will determine the direction that you want to move along.
Okay. So we mentioned capital. Is it possible to start real estate without money? And if you need money, to how much? But let's explore. You've been in it for a while.
Okay, so for us, we started off as employees. You get salaries from what you do, and if the capital is not enough to start a bigger structure, you can start by purchasing of the lands. You can buy lands at a very low rate, sell to get enough capital to start. If you are fortunate and you want to start maybe a 2 or a 3 bedroom house, I would say that go into the commercial ventures before your private residence. Once you're able to start something commercially, that funds will get you enough to put up your residence. So basically, you start with what you have. If you want to build a multi-million-dollar home, whilst or a multi-million-dollar real estate firm, whilst you're a salary worker, you have a challenge. But you can start by purchasing lands whose values are very low. For us, at Dungu, the first place we started, the first plot of land we bought 11 years ago was about 4,000. Now that land is about 120,000 Ghana cedis. 4,000 then was low compared to the salaries. Your salaries, maybe a month or two salary you can use that to buy the land. But now a month or two salary cannot buy the 120,000 kind of land. And so if you're a salary worker earning, let's say 2,000 or 3,000, there are lands that are around 3,000 Ghana cedis. Trust you me, when you buy 2 or 3 of them in a year or 2 or 3 years time, you can sell them and get enough capital to start the projects you want to do. Then loans. A lot of people are scared of loans. Loans are good or bad depending on what you want to use the money for. You consider the interest rate of the loan, you consider the appreciation of the loan, and decide on buying or not. I'll give another example again using our project at Dungu. When we started, we bought the first land that the hostel is on. We got another deal. The deal was very, very good. But then because I bought the first land, I didn't have funds I think 3 days or a week. Then another land became available. But looking at the projection of the land and seeing the rate at which it will appreciate, we even went for a facility with a very high interest rate. We took 4,000. We ended up paying 6,700 Ghana cedis, almost 60% in a year. But the appreciation of the land, took off the difference with time. It appreciated so much that the interest and then the facility, when you sum up, will still make the purchase of the land economically viable. So you can go for a loan or a facility to support you. I'm not talking of interest that loans where you cannot honor, but soft loans from your banks, relatives, or people who can help you finance such. But real estate is capital intensive, depending on the sheet that you want to start from. I don't know if Esther has something to add to it.
Yeah. So in mentioning, we talked about capital, and he shared how to go about it and gave some examples, which led us into things like land. So what should you consider when you want to buy a land? And what should you look out for?
Okay. When it comes to land acquisition, you must do a good market survey before deciding on the land. Mostly, you shouldn't just be lured by the fact that this location is so good, so any price that is quoted, you go for it. I've come to realize the more you go to ask around and all, because you should get the best deal for land. So it may not necessarily be a particular location. Since you want to probably build for rentals, you can actually get a lesser price somewhere and do the development. But what matters is accessibility to the land. So consider accessibility to the land. Make sure the land is easily accessible. Then ensure that the land you are buying or acquiring is a litigation-free land. It shouldn't be that you're going to get a land and later there are litigations you have to handle before you can even start your investment. So you make sure you do the necessary checks at all the relevant offices to ensure that the land you are acquiring is authentic and you can accessible, to make sure you've done enough background check on the land, which can be done in lots of governments. The lands commission, you go to the customary land secretariat to check the land and ensure you do registration of the land. Do not finish all you need to do on the land only to come and do registration later on, which could cause a problem to you. You could be the owner of the building, but not the owner of the land.
Wow.
And the owner of the land will always prevail. Okay. Exactly. So that's what I can say about the land acquisition.
Okay. So, Mr. Awotwe, looking at, can you expand a bit on the types of real estate? You are into hostels. What are the other areas people can go into as well?
Okay, so you can have the normal rentals where, apart from the hostels, you can build and rent. You can go into hotel. You build hotels and then also get some revenue. You can also buy and then sell lands. You can buy buildings, refurbish them and sell them. You can also have a property and place it on Airbnb where people would rent it. You can also go into parks and gardens. You can have a very beautiful park where you take revenue from people, a recreational facility. So those are all types of real estate you can go into.
Okay, so we'll soon be rounding up, and I now want to talk about challenges and opportunities. You've been in this for a number of years. What are some of the challenges you faced, and what are some of the opportunities because of what you are doing you've been able to enjoy? So we'll start with Mrs. Awotwe.
All right. I think one of the challenges we encountered mostly during the construction phase of some of the structures was human resource management. Working with dedicated staff, workers who share the same aspiration as you do. So then the owner must have that discipline to say, this worker is not good enough, I dismiss you. There are times where you deal with recalcitrant workers who even end up stealing building materials, which is actually very costly to you, the owner. So the discipline as a developer to dismiss staff who are undeserving, to take on people that are expensive though, but will be more reliable to you. I think that was one of the major challenges we had. And fortunately, and by the grace of God, we were able to handle them. We had to, should I say, develop some managerial skills to be able to handle such some people, because some of them actually are good workers, but have some traits that could affect the business. So you have to be able to manage them for them to stay on, give you the services you require, and go afterwards. So that was one of the major challenges during the construction phase. And now upon completion and occupation of the hostel facility, then comes management of the structure. Unlike, because we had decided to work with students, like providing hostel accommodation, should I say, the maturity levels are not so much like you have for a family and all that. So you have destruction of equipment or materials in the building being more than you expected. So then you have to also be able to manage the occupants, who are the students, well. And sometimes the fear of not being able to manage them to make them give a wrong signal out there to other people who may want to come to the hostel. So it had been dicey, but I think it's a learning progress. Okay. It's a gradual process too. So we are doing it little by little. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. Mr. Awotwe.
Yeah, I want to look at it beyond only our environment. Sometimes the acquisition of land is a problem. I have a lot of friends who wanted to acquire lands in Accra, and you invest, you push in money, and you realize that you bought the land from the wrong hands. And so it's also a major factor. The acquisition of land, you should make sure that the lands are properly acquired. And then capital. In fact, capital is the main reason why a lot of people don't go into real estate. Once you hear real estate, a lot of people are afraid to go in there because they feel it is very, very capital intensive. Like I said earlier, we started with virtually nothing. We came as workers, employees for other institutions. We are still employees anyway in our various institutions. But what we need to do is you need to know the kind of industry you're going in and the capital requirements. And so you need to be disciplined enough so that you'll be able to save the little that you have to start small. You start with what you have. We didn't start the 37 rooms at the same time. We started it bit by bit. We got 10 rooms, we did another 10, we did another 10, we got another 7. We are looking at expanding further. So the capital is there. It's a major problem. But if you're able to break it in pieces, you should be able to sail through.
Okay.
That is what I want to say.
Okay. So as we wrap up,
I want to add,
please go ahead.
Yeah, in addition to the capital, I recall one lesson I learned over the years is making people, suppliers, trust you. You may not honor the promise. They tend to work with you. So you could start with your little capital gradually, get some people to give you materials when needed, then honor that promise. When you do that with a level of supply, before you realize you are getting produce or building materials in a manner probably you didn't plan initially, but because you are trustworthy, they are ready to give you whenever the money is ready, you pay up. I think that has been also a good strategy. So if as a developer, you build that relation with people, it goes a long way to help you. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. So let's talk about NEST Services. Let's tell us all the things you do and a bit about your expertise, your background and things, which I'm sure has contributed to help you in this venture.
Okay, so NEST has 2 legs. We have the electrical engineering aspect and then we have the real estate. I will talk about electrical engineering aspect where we pick jobs from NETCO, other distribution companies and all, build control panels. So we are experts in electrical engineering, power systems, controls, and automation. But the real estate part is where we have, that's one I think my wife will come in on that, where the hostel falls under the real estate part. Okay. And that's one of our greatest strengths. So I think Esther can talk more on that.
Okay.
Yes, so for the real estate part, we've named it NEST Valuation and Estate Services. So that's where we provide valuation services for various purposes. We do valuation of properties for mortgage, for sale. That's when we do advice on acquisition on land. That's when we also do the construction services. So the valuation estate services cuts across everything related to land. We provide land advice. We provide land registration services, and everything related to land registration, land acquisition, everything related to land is done under NEST Valuation Estate Services.
Okay. So a bit about
the
your
hostels
background.
fall under that as well.
Pardon?
Yes.
Please say that again.
The hostels fall under that.
Okay. So now a bit about your background, your training, how that has also supported you in this.
Okay, so then my background, I did electrical engineering. I'm an electrical engineer, BSc electrical engineering from KNUST, MSc engineering and management from the University of Coventry. I'm a member of the Ghana Institution of Engineers. I'm a member of the Institution of Electrical Electronic Engineers in US. I'm a member of the National Society of Black Engineers. I'm also the regional vice chairman of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, the 5 branches. I'm the vice chairman. So my background is electrical engineering. Yes, so that is what is my strength. And so Esther can come in with her background.
Yes.
Yeah. And I am a valuation and estate surveyor.
Okay.
I did my bachelor's in land economy at the KNUST.
Okay.
Then I became a professional member of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors.
Okay.
I work with the governmental institution, that's the Office of Administrator of Stool Lands, as a Stool Lands officer.
Okay.
And currently the deputy regional Stool Lands officer there.
Okay.
Yes.
So thank you so much. Just closing words from you for people interested in going into real estate. Just your parting words for them.
Yes. If you are doing it individually, have the will to see yourself through the process. If you are working as a couple, to trust the process, trust each other throughout the process, give yourself the necessary support. There should be no point along the line where you feel that you are probably given more, so it becomes your thing. You should see that we are working together to reach a common goal. So we should have the will to take you through the process. I think that is it.
Okay.
For me.
All right.
My issue is it borders on the same lines where you need some level of determination to do it, because it will get to a point where prices of goods and services will escalate beyond your budget. You will want to go and buy a bag of cement for 5 Ghana cedis. You go, they say it's 10 Ghana cedis. If you are not careful, you say that you will not go ahead again. So there's that tendency to quit along the line, but you are not supposed to quit. Quitters don't win. Winners don't quit. And so that should be there. You must be having that strong will to go ahead in the midst of challenges. And then you shouldn't also be afraid of mergers. And some are scared of mergers and acquisitions. Some people find it difficult combining strength with their spouses or with their business partners. And that is also a major challenge. If you cannot build a ship, you should get somebody who can help you build a ship. If you cannot put up the structure, you should be able to team up with somebody. But when you're doing that, you need to do a proper assessment of the project before someone comes in with a capital. If you are having 1,000 Ghana cedis, someone is coming with maybe 100 Ghana cedis, you lump everything together and then share it accordingly. It shouldn't be a scenario where the strengths are different and then becomes a problem, because in Ghana, mergers are a problem. Joint ventures are a problem. It's always been from Adam. So if you're going into it, that is that. But as a young person, it's capital intensive. You can't be doing in real estate and be thinking of all the flashy, blinging stuff. You cannot survive it. You cannot be using all the iPhone X's and all that and expect to know. The little thing that you get should be pushed into the project you do. In fact, we sustained ourselves for the past 10 years. There's not been any major bling. When I say bling, all the things that go along with it. And so you must be disciplined enough in your finances to be able to go through that head. It's capital intensive.
Okay, that's wonderful. We have learned so much. So Mr. and Mr. Awotwe, thank you again. Thank you for your time. And I'm sure we've all learned, or we'll put in the links of the business and your contacts so people can reach out to you. Thank you so much again.